WFH with two guys. Now here's Benny and Dennis.
And so I think this is becoming the ritual. It's tradition for us right now that we talk about KPIs in the new year.
It is. I mean, everybody's always, you got new goals and you're trying to figure out what to track and where to go. And it's just kind of a reminder for people that KPIs are so important to help you have a successful year. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand what they are, or they go overload and it turns into chaos.
So for those of you who don't know, this is one of Dennis's expertise. Now, this isn't just a topic that we like to go into. When I met Dennis, this was a big part of his world, and it's continued when he started his business over a decade ago. And so I always look to Dennis as being the expert. And so rather than having to bring on a KPI expert, Dennis is the KPI expert. And so I wanted to make sure that we delved into this, but I'm going to ask Dennis a series of questions because I think for all of you who maybe have heard the term and maybe understand that it's important, I really want to kind of drill down into this a little bit because Dennis is the man to kind of give us some of the expertise. So we'll grill him a little bit today and kind of get the bottom line on this. But Dennis, let me ask and start out here. Could you tell me what is a KPI? What exactly is that?
So it stands for key performance indicator, which is kind of big words for people. The best way to think about it, it's a metric. Metrics and KPIs are not the same thing. You can have lots of metrics. The KPIs are, it's things that you want to track specifically to help you reach an objective for your business. And so you're looking at, I always tell people, think of your dashboard on your car. Those are key performance indicators. There's thousands of things going on, but look at the size of them. The gas gauge is probably one of the most important ones, because if you don't have fuel, if you're driving an electric car, it's the gauge of do you have power or not, either gas or electric. It's the speedometer so that the police don't pull you over. And the hot and cold, is your engine running hot and going to kick out on you, or is it going to be okay? And so those are the three. Now, there's lots of stuff that eventually pops up that are metrics that play into, is your car performing well and that kind of thing. But those are the three that you look at. Apply that same strategy to your business and come up with 2 to 4 key performance indicators that help you figure out how to achieve the objectives for your particular department or division that plays into the bigger objective of the company. And keep them simple. Don't make these things so complicated that you can't get to them. They need to be pretty quick and easy to see and help you know how things are going and where you're at. And I'll show some that I use, from a sales perspective or from an operations perspective here in just a little bit.
So yeah, I love that analogy. The dashboard on your car. We all can relate to that, and I think that's fantastic because there are a million things that you can literally monitor. But so if I'm not mistaken, Dennis, they're important. KPIs are important from that analogy. But why do they matter? Why do they matter as business drivers, operators, owners? Why do KPIs really matter for me as a business owner?
Yeah, so it helps. It's kind of a roadmap for me. I mean, it helps me know, am I doing the things that I say that are important to help achieve the objectives? So, like in my case, for sales, I have 3 things. I have how many new people I meet a month, because I know if I meet new people, that's opportunities. I have the number of demos or demonstrations or touch points with people, because again, if I'm doing demos and showing how we do things, that's important. And the third one is whiteboards, because I know that if I can get to a whiteboard session with a particular client, I have a greater probability of doing a proposal and then closing a deal. And the final one would be, how many proposals do I send out? Those are my 4, because I don't need to look at how much sales and all that. That's kind of, I'll be looking at that separate, but that's not a key performance. It's really how many people I'm meeting, how many demos am I doing, how many whiteboards, and how many proposals. And you have targets. So I know for the demos, for the initial touches, I'm trying to have, 8 to 10 of those a month. Demos might be, 4, whiteboards might be 2, and I might be only 1 to 2 proposals a month. And so it's that funnel from a sales perspective. You can flip this to operations, to accounting, or whatever it is that you're trying to do metrics wise that have, you may have lots of other things you're measuring. Those are the 4 that I'm really, really looking at.
It's interesting to me because you just threw off a few that I think are, if I think about a business, I think about some of my clients and even myself, obviously, those are some important numbers that I'm interested in under learning. But it seems to me that we could potentially have dozens, Dennis. There are lots of different KPIs, and we could kind of overwhelm. Is that the right way to go? Should I
Yeah.
have a dozen or two, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so go back to the car and think about, that dashboard. And so those are I recommend people 2 to 4. You get more than that, it becomes chaos. I've seen people have 30 or 40. One, it's a lot of effort. Two, it's a lot of busy noise that you get, again, you get distracted. So keep things very focused on, 2 to 4 that really means something to you. And then once you get those and make it so that it's not extra work. So like the 4 that I'm talking about, I'm doing my CRM, and as I'm doing that, it's based off of statuses. And so I'm not having to do this extra work. It's just automatically happening, and I can see it as it's progressing throughout the month, and I know where I'm at without having to go, pull a bunch of data.
Is there a secret to being able to figure out the right KPIs, Dennis? Is it kind of a trial and error thing? Is it something maybe that I should be researching on? Again, or is this am I overthinking?
No, I mean, I think, especially if you're not sure where to go to Chat GPT and put in, hey, here's my business of what I do. What are some things that I might want to have metrics on? And then what are things that of those metrics should be KPIs that I ought to consider? That's a good place to start and use an AI, or talk to other people in like industries and find out what they're doing. I'm a resource, happy to talk to you and help you think through, where is it at? What kind of tools do you already have in place to measure this stuff? And how do you bring it together? And again, it always should tie back to your objectives of your organization. Of what are you trying to accomplish?
It, are there, and I'm sure you've seen this because in your role in how you, roll this out for your clients. What are some of the mistakes that you're seeing your clients do, or some of the things that maybe some areas we can avoid when we're trying to establish KPIs?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the big ones are one, they try to track everything. Then they're trying to track things that they can't influence. So it's like, you know, I could have the weather is one of my KPIs, but I can't influence the weather. The weather impacts my outcome, but that's probably not going to be a KPI for me. Um, a lot of times you're tracking KPIs, but you don't have thresholds, so you don't know, are you doing well or not. It's just a graph, and it's like you've got to know that, hey, what's your targets, and are you green, yellow, or red in those targets, so that you kind of know where you're going. Um, a lot of times they don't have good data. That's the other problem. They can't get to it. So they say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I want to track this stuff," but either can't get to it or it's really cumbersome, and so then it becomes a distraction and they don't do it. Um, and the worst one that I always talk about is spreadsheet hell. They have so much stuff going on, and there's all this stuff tied up in a spreadsheet. That's why you need a database like what we do. It works because it's on your phone, it's on your computer, it's right there. It pops up when you're doing stuff. It's not in some spreadsheet that nobody can get to. Because again, the KPI, you may be sharing this KPI with 3 or 4 other people. And if it's a spreadsheet and you're not able to collaborate with each other, you just created chaos again.
All right. So we know we need KPIs. We know we kind of need to whittle it down and figure out the ones that really matter to us. And you just talked a little bit about some of the mistakes. But once I have the KPIs, Dennis, what do I do with them? I mean, I look at the interesting numbers and, oh, I see that graph is going up, or what do I do with these things?
So you want to get it, so it's kind of a behavior change. So you want to make it a weekly review. I mean, mine, I'm looking at daily. I mean, honestly, on some of the stuff that as it pops up and I see it right there. Um, And I'm definitely looking at the end of the week. If I know I want to have 10 new people and it's the end of the first week and I've met nobody, that means I got to get 3.33 people each week the next 3 weeks to hit my 10. Or if I know I'm going to be on vacation, I have to kind of change things around. And so it allows you to not get, I always love that boss that would come to you the 28th of the month. Oh, we got to increase sales. Well, I only got 2 days left to do it, dude. It's not going to happen. So it's like, you need to be talking to me about this. I can help you the next month, maybe, but I can't solve your problem 2 days out because you didn't track things. If you'd been tracking this thing, you'd have known by the 10th of the month that you weren't heading in the right direction and you needed to refine, readjust and make things more productive the latter part of the month. So those are things that happen. And make sure people that own the KPIs are using them. As a leader, you know, in your weekly meetings and stuff, reference those. Don't go through old agendas and all that. Talk about KPIs. I mean, it'll make your meetings much more productive because those are the key things that you said are important. Focus on those. And then the things that people are struggling with, that's a one-on-one type of thing. So your weekly meetings that were an hour or 2 hours long can now maybe be 15 minutes to 20 minutes because you're just hitting the KPIs and are things performing, free people up to be more productive, and then focus on those areas where people are struggling.
Anything to make a meeting shorter. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the other one is stand up in a meeting. That always makes meetings go a lot faster.
Okay, couple more questions for you here, Dennis. Um, are there any tools or any suggestions that you can give to some of the listeners here in terms of what they should be either using or anything to kind of make that an easier process for them?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of apps out there and things. I'll show some in here. I'll share one of mine here if I can find the share button. So, I mean, here's one where, this is from a project's perspective. And so I'm quickly looking to see, you know, where things are at for, actual versus targets and that kind of thing. Or I can see projections here. This one gets a little more detailed into evidently things that we're tracking or seeing. Just helps you kind of see what's going on there. Let me take you to another one here real quick.
Yeah, I noticed there's only 4 there, so
There's only
that's really
4 monthly progress of what I was talking about. I can see, initial outreaches. October, we were on a cruise for the whole month, so didn't hit anything. But I can see, December, it's the how things would looked and where they were at, and chugging along. How many demos we did, how many whiteboards, and then seats. And so I- all this, even though it's not financially driven, tells me that I'm probably having a pretty successful year. And then other metrics that you may reference, this is not KPIs, this is the metrics, this is the accounting stuff. This is where people get confused. This is stuff coming out of QuickBooks. So this is not a KPI. This is your metrics to see how did I do income wise? What's my average revenue per seats, my income to cost of goods sold, my income to expenses. Those are metrics to see where I'm at, but my KPIs are really back here because this drives the objectives and the results that then show up in your accounting piece. And so many people, so many people that I encounter, their KPIs they use are coming out of their accounting system. The accounting system is like the scale. I always tell people, if you're trying to lose weight, you step on a scale, that's an accounting system. It's after the fact. Think of your KPIs. It's that coach that's talking to you about exercising properly, that's talking to you about eating properly. And so those KPIs would be, did I walk 2 miles today and did I eat, less calories, or, how many less candy bars did I consume today than I did a week ago?
those
And you,
analogies make it super easy to understand it.
and then so that way, then when you step on the scale, if I know that I exercise properly and I ate healthy for the week, I'm probably going to be down a pound or two, and the scale will tell me. The accounting is the same way. And so don't get hooked into where everyone thinks accounting is the KPIs. The accounting piece is a metric, and the KPIs are your objectives or your operational type of things that are happening beforehand. And one of my employees 40 years ago came up with that analogy. And I think that's the best way to understand it as you think through all this.
Let me ask one last question because I know that this is a topic that people were curious about. the KPIs, and I already know the answer, but I just want to put this out there for everybody. Seems like it's a big thing for like some of the big companies that you've worked for in the past. I'm a small business, maybe even a solopreneur. Should I really be measuring this stuff, Dennis? Is this that important for a small business?
Even more so, I think, because you can actually be looking at it. You can adjust and change much quicker than that big company. So think of that big company's a battleship. And so it's tracking this stuff and it wants to change, and it may take 6 months or a year for it to make the turn. You can pick up on trends quickly and adjust and change your approaches so much faster and get the results. And that way you don't keep doing something that's not getting you the results that you expect.
So this is important. PIs are something that we're here in the beginning of 2026. Listen, fresh time. This is a great opportunity for you all to take a look back at 2025, 2024, be able to use some of this data and see and project and be able to understand a little bit more about your business. It's fascinating. I think, Dennis has helped me a little bit, and, I'm not the expert like Dennis, but I've found some measurables there. Yeah. And they do correlate to some productivity. So I think this is important. Dennis, it's really great information, but I know people are going to want to be able to reach out to you and maybe have some other questions. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah. Email Dennis J. So DENNISJ at Work Solution. That's WORX solution.com. Or LinkedIn, and happy to help you. Benny, how's a good way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm going to direct you to Dennis if you have a KPI question, but if you have some other questions that relate to some technology, especially AI, that's really kind of my world. But Benny, BENNY at Velocity Technology Group. You can find me on LinkedIn. VelocityTechnology.group is our website too as well. Dennis, this is a really fun, interesting, and it's an important discussion to be having. So thanks for
So three things. The final takeaway I would give you is, focus on key numbers. Make KPIs part of your weekly rhythm. And if KPIs don't drive action, then they're just decorations. And so it's like Christmas. You have them up for a little bit, but then you put them away. KPIs should never go away.
Yep. Yeah. And speaking of which, it's January, folks. I don't know if you have your Christmas decorations still up or not, but Dennis, great to see you. Thanks again for sharing all this information. I know that some people are going to get some value out of it. So thanks for doing that.
Enjoyed it.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Been listening to WFH with two guys. We'll see you next